Hey friends, it's me, the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. I thought I'd have a little fun today and look at some of the figures I paint that aren't Warhammer. I know that my channel has become very Warhammer and Transformer heavy, which is fine. Those are properties that I love. But like I said, I'm a well-rounded nerd. I believe in enjoying many things, and just wanted to give folks an example of other things out there that you can paint in different properties just for the fun of it. And it's also a little survey of my recent painting journey, because I think with every time I paint, I improve a little. So let's not delay. Let's just look at figures. So my husband has a 3D printer, and he will 3D print things for me in a heartbeat to paint, which is super awesome. And one of the first things he printed for me is this little guy. You know him, I know him, we all love him. Let's give him a spin. It is Pochita. So obviously he was a pretty simple paint. Yes, his little pull cord tore off, and I don't know where it is, but he was super fun to paint, very easy. We're able to get a lot of figures to paint because we both do 3D printing. Let me see if I can get my light to do better for me here. She's new at this, so give her mercy. But yeah, this is one of the first little figures I painted after moving. I think he came out okay. I mean, he's just, basically 5 colors. We've got a couple of oranges on him, black, silver, white, and a little bit of orangey red for his tongue. So as simple as it gets, Pochita is a very bright, fun character, except for his whole tragic backstory. So I really enjoyed painting him. But this kind of got me back into the mode of wanting to paint figures, because when I was younger, I used to paint like ceramic houses and that type of thing, or those ceramic plates that had like lighthouses on them and things like that. Those were fun, but not so much like Warhammer or D&D figures or anything like that. So Pochita kicked me off, and he stirred the pot. There we go, she found a good angle. So the next thing he printed for me was the child. I still call him Baby Yoda. I don't care what his real name is. But this guy really did. I really enjoyed just getting some highlights on him. I didn't want to make him look too cartoony. I wanted to make him, still reminiscent, and still, but give him that Star Wars feel. A lot of folks like the older Star Wars movies better, the first 3 that came out, because they had that realistic feeling to them. Like, oh, if people lived in space, this is how they would live. And I wanted to give him that kind of feel to him, because that's kind of how that show kind of more feels than, some of the others that I will not name because I don't want to hack off the entire nerd community. But I love him. Compare him to this little guy, Slide. Actually got him at a hobby store. Locally. So he was pre-printed and still a 3D print, but a totally different look, and they don't even have the same green on them. I went a little bit more maroony with his cloak. I don't know if I love or hate it, but this guy, both of them, I painted in about a day apiece. So he took me about 2 hours-ish to paint, and he took me about 2 or so hours to paint. So I was starting to get faster and better in between. When I decided to pick up Warhammer, I got both of these guys right about the same time. I started painting my Word Bearer's kill team. So when I got tired of looking at the kill team, because I literally painted it panel by panel, there was no base coating. Just everything got individually painted. And when I do my Adepta Sororitas, I'm kill team, my novitiate, I'm probably going to paint them the same way, because you can do that with kill team. There's 10 figures. But when I got tired of those, these are the guys that got painted. What do you think? Who do you love better? Do we love him or him more? This is the one my husband printed. This is the one we purchased. Still a 3D print, but I think they're both unique in their own way. So next, let's look at a parade of D&D gnomes. So the local hobby shop that we go to once a month has what's called a paint party. And since they started doing them, I don't think we've missed one, but they have a themed set of 3D prints. You buy them and you can use their paints, their brushes, sit there and have conversation with other people who like to paint. And you get a cool collection of figures because they do something different. They've done Lord of the Rings theme. They've done Dungeons and Dragons, dinosaurs, kitties. Over Christmas, they did an ornaments thing. I painted an owlbear. Super cute. They had owlbears, dragons, a whole bunch of other stuff. I think the one coming up is kitty cat themed. So we've all got little space cats we're going to paint. So let's take a look at these little D&D gnomes. Now, y'all, these are tiny and such a pain to paint. You have the option at our hobby store of buying more of their prints because sometimes they run a surplus or people don't come and pick them up, or you can just ask, be like, hey, I want one of each. I asked for one of each and then they had a surplus and I bought a couple more for a couple of bucks each. But I'm looking at these little rogues first. Rogues, bards, whatever they are. I don't play D&D as much. I play Hero Quest. Let me see if I can get a good light on her. I know light doesn't always like to be my friend in my office. But yeah, so she was fun. As you can see, the details are just annoyingly small. And getting a good look on these, just, oh my God, the effort of it all. But I started getting progressively better with them. I'm glad I have more than one of this particular character, because then I have the opportunity to make them better. Don't look at her fingernails. It is time for her to do her nails. She's been in the ocean and everything else, and she's been painting. It is time to redo these puppies, but later. Priorities. I have the army to paint. And then there's this gal right here. I think out of the three of these, because they're all the same figure, I think I like her the best. Somehow she seemed to come out with the best detail. And for all y'all who don't think I paint bases, look at that. Look at that painted base. You see that painted base? Look, you see those painted bases? But these are all very much the same figure. Now, don't they look like a, like from the 50s, like an old girl group? Like they're going to entertain the troops or something. But they're great. If you don't play Dungeons and Dragons, you paint your own little character. And then basically the whole game is your imagination. There's a dungeon master who plans an adventure for you. And you roll dice to see what decisions you're going to make. And the adventure unfolds. I play Hero Quest, which is kind of a D&D in a box. That's the best way I can explain it. I really enjoy it. I might get into playing actual D&D if it's anything like that. Only Hero Quest comes with like a whole map and like furniture and doorways and traps and stuff that you put out. So that's a little bit different. In D&D, from what I understand, it's all in your head, literally. So I like these little gals, but there were so many gnome options. We got one of each of them. I think there were 13. I'm just going to show you the ones I've painted so far because there's still like 5 I haven't painted. Next, I've got these 2 really cute little paladins, or mages, whatever you want to call them. But I love the way they turned out. I started really playing with metallics with them. I wanted her to look like she was stepping out of a cave, basically. And I really love the skin tone. One of the things I like about the little gnomes is you don't have to keep with any like rules of physicality. So I really played with skin tones with these. And I wanted to make her just super magical. So her base is just, there's a lot going on there. But I wanted her basically to look like she was coming out of some kind of spell she just cast. I think I did really good on her fire. Hers might be one of the best fires I've done. But I played with the contrasting metals on this one. Got some really good shading. How far you want to go on shading these types of characters, that's on you. It depends really how attached I am to the look of a figure, how ham I go on it. These next 3 you see, she went ham. Meet the ham trio. So we've got kind of a nymphy kind of gnome going on, an earth gnome, a little gnome witch, and then the little wizard over here. And I think out of the ones I've done so far, because I still have, I have 5 more that are unpainted. Well, 1 that's halfway painted and 4 more that I need to paint. And I paint those when I'm tired of looking at my Warhammer figures. But check these out. So some folks are like, why don't you put texture on your bases? I do, if it warrants it. So this little girl here, check her out. So I went with like the earthsea kind of look with her. Getting these little dots under her eyes, y'all, that was a pain. But I kind of love the way she turned out. Is she carrying flowers or broccoli? I don't know. I made it look like broccoli. But I'm very happy with the color scheme that I chose for her. I wanted her to look very... Oh, not drop her. Don't drop these, y'all. They're super fragile. But I wanted her to look very earthy, very just stepped out of like where a river and lake meet kind of thing going on. I even did a little mud buildup on her, so it looked like she was just coming out of the earth. So I'm super happy with how she turned out. We're going to slide her back. And then there's this girl. Y'all saw her in a short. This is a gnome witch, and she might be one of the figures I am the most proud of. Painting her took I think I spent 2 days on her, like 3 hours one day, 3 hours another, because I was letting layers dry. I really wanted her base to look like she was, again, just in the middle of a spell. But I painted each one of these little baubles on her stick individually. Her fire, I think, came out really, really good. But if you look in there, you see all those little details. I got the ittiest of bittiest brushes and went in there with it. But the way I did it was I worked from the inside out. So the details that are the most recessed, do those first and then work your way out. That way you don't have to go in and repaint. And then it's figuring out like what's her cloak, what's her robe, what's the underdress. That way you can make it all match. And I'm super happy with her hair. Like her hair just makes me smile. And then under here, I've got her little satchel. I actually used a little terrain textured mud on her satchel to make it look weathered and worn. And I'm just so pleased with how she turned out. She is one of my all-time favorites. I just show her off periodically. And then there's this guy. I had a whole different color scheme going on him when I first got him. We went to another local hobby shop we like that does what's called paint and take. So for like $10, you can sit there and use their paints. Their airbrush setup, and the experts in there will actually give you help because they paint professionally, and they'll give us tips and stuff. But I took him with me to paint. I started with a whole different paint scheme on him, and I looked at him again and went, no, I hate it. So I decided to redo him, and I'm happy that I did. So he's kind of a metal wizard. I'm most proud of the effect I got on the bones on him. So all around his waist, you see he's got skulls and stuff. So I got the ropes highlighted really, really well. I got that iridescence in his hair going all the way through. His skin is purple. Like, he just, man, I think I got all of the metals just to pop on this guy. And again, wizardy looking base. So we got an earthy base right here, earthy base, spell base, wizardy base, and they are three very different models. And I think on these guys, one of the hardest things to do is the eyeballs. Can you see them eyeballs? Look at that. Doesn't he look evil? It's so great. And hers are blue. So I made her super pale skinned. If you can tell, she's kind of like a Japanese ghost inspired kind of thing going on. And then of course I got my little gal over here that I've done the dots under her eyes. These each took quite a bit of time, but worth it because I learned some new techniques. One of the things I'm trying to learn is how to get faster, but still get the quality that I like, because I am that person who literally paints every single panel. And my husband has challenged me to try other techniques, which is what I'm doing with my current crop of Warhammer figures. I have tried base coating for the first time. I base coated with my Terminators, and I base coated with my Emperor's Children. What are they, Mark 6 or Mark 7 Space Marines. I'm happy with the result. I've tried, some other techniques that I've not done before. Obviously, you can see I've done some wet blending on these. I've done wet blending before, but I haven't done it on the scale I'm doing it with my Space Marines now. So these are good places to practice. And once in a while, I come up with a figure that I love just as much as my Space Marines. So then there are other fantasy figures we've gotten to paint over time. I'm going to show them to you in order, and these are all from paint party nights. And at the paint parties, I challenge myself to get better faster. So this is the first paint party that I went to. He's kind of a knight on like a toad stallion. I did not get to the base. I got his shading done, so I'm kind of happy with that. But he's unfinished, and I leave them in the state that they're unfinished from the paint party, just as a reminder to myself that, like, hey, learn more techniques, learn how to get faster. But overall, I think I had 3 hours with him that night. So for 3 hours, I'm not unhappy with it. I hate that the base didn't get painted, but I got the figure painted. That's what matters most. Like, no joke, I literally dropped this poor guy as I was picking him up to show him to you. So now I've got to glue his gun back to him. But this is, as you can see, a Battletech. I don't play Battletech. I don't know much about it. I know what Robotech is. Don't come for me. But I painted him completely in one night. Each panel, in one night, I painted all these panels individually. I told you she's weird. Like, even if you can see in there in the recesses, you can see that I've highlighted like with like a turquoise in there, where all his power stuff should be coming from. So I cannot believe I dropped him. Look at that. Y'all, this is the hard part of these little bitty figures. Doesn't matter if it's Warhammer or anything else. You got to be careful with them. I don't even know how I dropped it. Clumsy. But y'all have seen me drop stuff. But I'm pretty happy. This guy I spent about 2.5 hours on, I think. And for the result I got in 2.5 hours, we're just going to keep turning, just keep turning. Show the people what you got in your broken arm. I'm going to set him to the side so I take him to the paint room immediately and fix him. But yeah, I'm super happy with him, especially in the amount of time it took to paint him. I just went with a bright blue base. I usually do bright colors. Actually, I think it was last month at the paint party. The guy who owns the store was like, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to take all your bright colors and make you paint like earth tones. And I was like, oh, no, I can't do that. I like bright colors. Because I don't know if any Battletechs come in this color. If you play that game, let me know. But I like the way it came out. What do you think? And then another month, like I said, they have different themes. They do dinosaur themes. So this one, of course, I had to have. I got two that night. It's a little kung fu dinosaur. I do taekwondo, if you don't know. So I really liked this one. I was most wanting to get this one completed that night, and I did. I did not paint the base, but I'm very happy with her. I'm happy with the shading I got. This one I did a lot of in-the-moment wet blending on the wet palette to give her kind of this scaly, recessed look. So I took several colors and mixed them in to get them down in the crevices, and then dry brushed a couple of layers over top. And I think she turned out really, really well. I love how she's just standing on this little rock here. But then there were these little guys. I just got them because they were cute. But I did not finish them. I did not get their eyes completely done. But it's just little baby dinosaurs coming out the eggs. They're just cute little dinosaurs. And, I did some very quick dry brushing and highlighting on them. They're not finished, and they're not going to be because, again, I'm challenging myself, just reminding myself what their looks like. What could you have done different? What could you have done better? When you're doing these really large projects like Space Marine armies and stuff, take as much time as you want, but if you ever want to play, we all have to learn how to get just a little bit better and a little bit faster. So doing 2 figures in one night, I was really happy about that. But then I did get better, and I got to the point where I could do complete models all in one night. These are 2 of my favorites from a paint party night. So I forget what this was, but they were like animal fighter theme. I don't know where they get the themes for paint party, but they're great. I really enjoy it because I get to paint things I never would have picked out on my own. But as you can see, I've got a mallard knight and then my koala jungle warrior here. I painted both of these guys on the same night in about 2.5 hours. I did a lot of wet blending. I did a lot of dry brushing with them. And I'm still happy with the result, and they are completed with bases. So let's look at the koala first. I'm going to actually pick him up and turn him. I know this is like my most janky impromptu video, but I just felt like it this morning. So we're going to turn him around. I love the way his eyes turned out. They're like a dulled down gold. I even got a good detail on his little anklets and stuff. I love the spear. I decided to make his hat red because he just seemed like a badass that way. Do y'all remember that show Noozles back in the day? Remember all the anime that we watched that we didn't know was anime? That was one. It was about these 2 koalas that came from Koala Walla Land, and they would like draw a circle with lipstick and could float back and forth between the worlds, but the worlds were gonna collide. Yeah, so yeah, he kind of reminded me of that because they had like warrior koalas on that side. So that was kind of my inspiration. They were super brightly colored, a lot of fun. And the reason they were called Noozles, at least in the American version, was because the girl who owned them as stuffed animals in the human world, she would like with her nose to nose noozle them, and then they would come to life, and then they would have adventures together. Their names were Inky and Blinky, and it was cute. He's neither Inky nor Blinky, but he's a koala, and that was my tangent. There were a lot of koala anime back in the day. There was another one called The Adventures of the Little Koala, where like they all lived in Australia or New Zealand, I forget, and they was just little kid koalas, penguins, kangaroos, wallabies, and the rest having adventures as children in Australia. All that from him. She can tangent, but I'm super happy with him. Even look at like the quality I got on his belt. Now, the one that really made me happy was Sir Mallard here. Like, he turned out spectacular. So look at how many layers there are to him. There's his belt. He's got, the cloak under his armor here. There's the shield itself. Look, even his feet I got well. It took me a few shades of green to get the green that I wanted on him because I really didn't want him to look cartoony. Like, look at that serious face. He deserved, a serious paint job with that serious face. So I wanted to respect Sir Mallard. And I think I did. Like, oh my God, I am so happy with him. And I wanted their bases to look like they were on the fields of battle that they are designed for. What do you think? These both of them 2.5 hours got them done. And every time I learn something new, it helps me do better with my Space Marines, because I take what I learn on figures that I'm not as attached to, and I apply it to the ones that I am attached to, because I am super attached to my Space Marines. And I really like doing a good job on those. So now the techniques I learned here, I go and I do them on my Space Marines, and I'm learning how to paint better, faster. These are the last ones we're going to look at. I think they're D&D characters. These also came from a paint party night, and you would have seen them in a short, but some folks were asking about them, so I thought I'd show them as well. These are from our most recent paint party, and they are so cute. The one that I wanted, just like with the dinosaurs, was this guy here, the big tree spirit dude. And there is a lot of detail on him. I'm very happy with the amount of detail I got in the amount of time I had to paint. Now, there's one person who was there painting Shades, if you're watching, who he's like a pro, and he made this look like a piece of junk with the way that he paints. But I'm very happy with this because, look, I got all of his little mushrooms and stuff to pop. You can see all his little tree muscles. I even got like the thorns and stuff on his staff to stand out. I love it. Again, it looks like he's standing in the middle of the forest. I didn't have any textures to use for his face, so I just used the paints to make it look like where he was. Called out these mushrooms and fungus growing on him, even painted his little toenails. Yes, and his fingernails, because that's what we do. But that's the putty from when he was on the little stand. But I'm very happy with how he turned out. This is a pretty big piece with a lot of detail to get accomplished. Like, even I got his under cap painted. I got his eyes pretty well done in the time allotted. Which, when I say time allotted, they're open. I think paint parties usually start at like 5, and I think they're open till 9 or 10. So we're usually there for a couple of hours, and we have dinner and stuff there because it's a cafe as well. But this one, just like the baby dinosaur eggs, I got them because they were cute. And it's one of those where you can just have fun with it. Like, there was one lady there who was like painting faces on them. I just really enjoyed the brightness of this, but this was the night I was told that my bright paints were going to be taken away, because I always paint with bright, bright colors. I can't help it. My Space Marines aren't always bright. Have you seen my word bearers? They are dark, dark. They look like they are denizens of chaos, but these are not. Look at them. They're little, like, wood sprites. You know what they remind me of? It was so funny. We were sitting there painting, and somebody had this one, and I was painting it at the same time. They said, you know what they remind me of? Those things from that movie. And I shouted out, Princess Mononoke. You know you were thinking it. They look just like the forest spirits in Princess Mononoke. The Kodama, I think that's what they're called, the Kodama. But again, painting their base, make them look like they're just on the forest floor. And I love them. I absolutely love them. So now I have to go fix my poor little Robotech guy that I accidentally broke. I've had him for like 1.5 years and I broke him. I feel bad now. But that's just an example of some stuff that I paint that's not Warhammer. I do paint other things. Like, I've got some really big figures that I'm working on. I'm not working on them at the moment because I'm so focused on my armies. Because there's an event we want to go to in June, and I want my 1,000 points, period. That's my only focus right now. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I'm painting. You should too. But I've got 2 very large 3D prints from Princess Mononoke. I've got San with one of the wolf pup gods, and I've got Ashitaka with the Akul with the Borgard arm chasing him. Those I'm working on. Actually, I haven't even started San. Let me just be honest. I've had her for like 1.5 years, and she's just on a shelf. She's not even in a box. She's on a shelf. And I've also got Spy Family. I have Yor, Anya, and Lloyd. My husband's going to print me a bond to complete the set. But every time, I was almost done with Anya and Yor. And Yor, all those little things on her head and stuff, and her knives, they just kept, every time I touch her right now, she breaks. And I'm just like, like, I don't want to touch it, because every time I touch it, it breaks. So I'm just kind of done with her until I finish these Space Marines, and I'll try to finish them. And then I think I'll probably do Lloyd next of the giant statues. I'll show you all of those one day. She's got 7 years of content back there. And we're not even going to open that right now. Y'all seen in the closet. There's a lot going on. But yes, a lot of collecting. Oh, I forgot one. I'm looking at one over here, and I forgot the one we did last Halloween. Come here. I'm actually really happy with this one. I'm glad I did not turn off the camera yet. I did a 0. One of the paint party themes I did last year, a bunch of fans of the shop convinced them to do Nightmare Before Christmas. So there is a cute little Zero. Is he not adorbs? I mean, granted, he's totally white, but you'd be surprised how hard it is to get something to come out white. That's probably the hardest color to get show up, if not like a bright pink or bright yellow. Because if you don't base it right, it's not gonna. But those are just so much fun to paint something that's not your usual stuff. If you get kind of burnt out on the game that you paint the most, so if you're all into the D&D, if you're all into the Battletech, I know there's Marvel games, there's Lord of the Rings games, like every property out there has a paint a figure game. You get burnt out on the one that's like your main, go paint something else or read a book. Reading books is great too. But when I get burnt out but I still want to paint, I just paint something else. But that's a peek. I'll show you more stuff that I paint. I just woke up. It's Saturday. Nobody's going anywhere in my house this weekend. I'm painting today. We're gonna play some Magic the Gathering, do some Commander today. Probably order Uber Eats because everyone's feeling lazy, especially me. We just got back from vacation like a week ago and everybody came home sick. It was a great vacation, but like we've got ear infections, Montezuma's Revenge. I've got other stuff going on. Like we all just are going to be inside this weekend, and that's fine because I've got a trip to Mexico coming up and I really need to be okay for that, a taekwondo trip, so I really need to be. So we're just gonna rest, but that was just a quick fun video. Tell me what you think about it. I'm anxious to see how the lighting turned out. You know, so this is one of the rare real-time videos because I told y'all, don't be trying to figure out like when stuff happens on my channel because it's never real time. This is one of the very rare happened in the moments. So I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, this is what happens when she doesn't plan. She just rambles, but she rambles anyway. But please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.